Hi, and welcome to Matlab Minutes, where we dig into Matlab in minutes. I'm going to open a new live script. Today we're going to be talking about these little live script things. I'm going to come up here, click live script, and you'll see that I get a new script window that's open. In the last episode, I sort of talked about what all of these little banners are and a bunch of these things over here in home, plots, and apps. Today we're going to live in this live editor tab. We'll eventually get into the insert and view stuff, but I want to stay in live editor for right now. You'll see that I have a nice little window open. There's this kind of odd little split pane thing going on here. We'll talk about that in a second. And I got a line that's highlighted in gray. This is telling me that I can write code in this line. Before I do anything, though, I'm going to save my file because I like to save files. It's always a good practice. And remember, this is going to save into this directory, this Matlab Minutes directory. I'm just going to call this episode 2, or just EP2. And remember, there's rules on what we can use for characters, so we have to follow those rules. And here we are, right over my current folder. I have episode 2, and the .mlx tells me I got a live script. First couple of things I can do in a live script is I can put in code, which is what I'm set up to do right now. You'll notice that it's kind of this nice little font. Or I can actually add text to my live script if I want things to look pretty. I'm going to click the text button right up here. You'll notice that my gray bar went away, and now I got this weird sort of dashed liney whatever the hell it is over here on the side. This is where I can put text. I have a bunch of formatting options: bold, italicized, underline, whatever M is. I can put bullet points, numbers, all kinds of fun stuff. Really, what I want to do, though, is look up here where it says normal, and I can add a whole bunch of different things, headings or titles. So maybe I'll say Matlab Minutes Episode 2. And this is my title. Nice, looks orange, right? Kind of a cool, funky color. You can change these later. I could change the theme if I wanted to, but I'm going to go down here and, just for example, we can do a heading. This is a heading. We could do a heading. This is a smaller heading. Let's go down to like heading 3. This is heading 3, and then I could have something even smaller still, this normal font sort of choice. This is just text. This is useful if you want to document what you're doing so somebody can read this sort of thing once you're done. I can even come up here and insert images. We'll talk about that later in another episode, but for right now, let's just leave us with some Matlab minutes. And I'm going to start off, we're going to work on a little project here, so I'm going to start off. I'll just pick a heading here, and I'll say this is the user inputs. This is the user inputs. Great. So I have a section that says this is the user inputs, and now I'm going to flip back over to my code window here. I want to write some code, so right up here where it says code, I'm going to click on code. This is going to be back one of these gray bars where I can write some code. Let's do this. Let's set up some code that will do a simple y equals mx plus b for me. Some really, really basic stuff. So if I want y equals mx plus b, I want to solve the slope of a line. First thing I'm going to need is what is y and what is m. Let's start with the m part first. That's usually the slope, so I'll create a variable slope. By the way, there are certain variables we can't use. So, for example, I could use, look at this. I start typing, and if I want to use linspace, whatever that is, that might come back to haunt us later. It's clearly already a function. That's what that little fx means. Certain things I can't use, but if I wanted to use something like slope, that is totally fine. So I'm going to have a slope, I don't know, we'll pick a number for right now. We'll set it equal to 2, and then I'm going to come down here. I'll do like a y-intercept. I'll just use y-int. These should be clear for you. And in case you think you're going to forget, you can always add a little % sign. That's our comment symbol, and you can say, this is the slope of the line. Come down here, we can say this is where the line hits the y-axis. Seems silly now, but maybe later on you come back to this and you go, what the hell was I doing? This will help you out a lot. We'll start with a y-intercept of, I don't know, 0. Real creative, right? Okay, so this is good. I have some user input stuff. I'm going to come down a few lines. Maybe I'll switch back to text here, and I will say solve for the slope of a line. Oops, capital S on slope. Solve for the equation of a line. Boom, we'll do that. I wanted that to be a heading, so I'm just going to highlight that sucker right here. I'll come up, I'll make that, I don't know, another heading. Why not? Cool. I'm going to come down here. I'll switch back to code. I'm just going to click my little code button. See, this is really easy. And now I'll do something like maybe Y. And this is cool, right? I start typing, and it starts suggesting things that start with that letter. So I started with a Y. I have like Y label, Y lim. Again, these are functions. But this little like weird yellow rectangle thing looked a lot like what we get up in the workspace. This is suggesting a variable. Right now I just want a new variable, so I'm just going to do y equals, and then I want my slope. So if I just hit tab like that, it'll just grab the first thing in that list. Slope times x. I need an x value. You know what? I don't have an x value. Let me come back up here, and I'm going to create an x value, and I'm just going to say x equals, I don't know, we're going to be real boring here, x equals 10. Why not? By the way, Matlab is not white space sensitive, so I could throw a million spacebar hits in here, and Matlab would not care one bit, which is a really nice thing. So slope times, and now if I type my capital X, I got that. I can just hit tab to accept it. And I want to do plus my y-intercept. So great, so I have that. So I have y equals slope plus y-intercept. And in theory right now, all I need to do is just run this code, and I should get a y for an x of 10. Let's see what happens. I'm going to come up to the run panel. I'm going to hit run, and we're going to see if we broke anything. We did not. Look at this. Over here on the side, I have all of my output. Slope equals 2, y-intercept equals 0, x equals 10, y equals 20. And this is the absolute bare bones basics that you need to get up and running with a live script. One last thing before we go that I want to show you. You have these three little buttons over here. You can change how this information is displayed. This button up here gives me the output on the right. This little middle button over here sticks my output in line. This little piggy down here hides the code entirely and just gives me text. You can see how this might be nice if all you wanted to do was show your results and not the ugly hacked together work you did in between. By the way, you'll notice that it hides all of my comments when I do this last little output view, so I would need to kind of add those comments back in as plain text if that's the path I wanted to take. And if you didn't want to see slope equals 2, yn equals 0, you could do a couple of things, like just add a little dot comma, semicolon here, just add a quick semicolon to the end of my line, and this is called suppressing a line. It's not necessarily required, as it might be in some other programming languages, but if you do it in a live script, what you get, hey, no output, look at that. I just have my y equals 20 as my final output. And there you have it, Matlab in minutes.